Good evening, everybody. It is 8 o'clock UK time, and it is, oh gosh, Monday, Tuesday? Do you know, yesterday's bank holiday has completely thrown me, because it was just another day for me. That's just what I do. I come in and I work when it's bank holiday. End of. So, yeah, it's all been a bit, today I'm just not sure whether I'm coming or going, but I think it's Tuesday. Well, it must be, because I'm here and it's a Brew and a Blether. Although, first of all, we have Christy here as well. Hello, Christy. Lovely. Thank you for joining me. I mean, it's wonderful that you're on the other side of the world and you're here in a bit of a dark and gloomy Rochdale in the UK. But how wonderful. So, yes, I am sideways as usual, and I am going to be making something quite fun today. I picked up on eBay not that long ago a miniature gramophone. Okay, so like, how cute is that? And of course, I had this vision of a little bunny with big ears standing up and trying to listen to it at the side, and another little bunny. I think this is the stylus, and there's the handle for wrenching. So I'll have another one who's going to be working or holding a little LP, little vinyl LP, which of course has to be the Pet Shop Boys. Of course, it's bunnies. So I just thought I'd see how far I'd go. It's a bit of a random thing, but I love making having the wee creatures interact with their environment. I suppose that is the formal term. So I've just put him to one side. I've got two little pre-cut. I'm all prepared. Two little blocks of this taupe. I'm still madly in love with it. I still think it's fantastic. And it's 5 grams each. So I'm going to make 5-gram bunnies, as you do. So yes, I prepared this much anyway. But yeah, so yesterday, bank holiday, in here as usual, it was dead. You know, no other businesses apart from the gym downstairs were here. So, but I was just working on till like 9 as usual. It was, it was quite interesting. But so today, not sure whether I'm coming or going, but it feels like not a Tuesday. It feels like a Monday. I don't know, is it just me? But, you know, the days and the weeks and the months and whatever, they just seem to get a bit confusing these days. It might just be me. It might just be because, like, every day is just, it's just fun, you know. I'm not counting the days for the weekend. It's like, oh, well, who am I going to meet today? Who am I going to play today? Or who's going to come out and play? And it's lovely, you know. It's just, there are no better ways to be, really. You know, and although I'm kind of doing more, I'm certainly doing lots more music these days. Did I mention to you possibly that I am now the new chairperson, chairwoman, chairman of the Northwest Early Music Forum? If I haven't, I am. It's just a small organisation, but it's good. It's a good to have a challenge. Good to, you know, and I love early music. I mean, that's what I spend all the other hours when I'm not actually in the studio. I spend it singing beautiful music from the 16th century. Bit niche, granted, but beautiful stuff. And I loved it from the first moment I ever heard it, which was back in 1990, which feels as though it was maybe 10 years ago, but apparently was a lot longer than that. Anyway, so moving swiftly on, hopefully you can hear me okay. I think the connection might be a little slow, but I'll do my best. I'll just keep whittering on regardless. And let's meet the bunnies. Let's see how they're going to be. So I have this idea of this little bunny sort of standing on his tiptoes, trying to hold on to the edge of the what's it called? The cone. I'm sure there's actually a proper word for it, but peering up and trying to sort of hear where the sound is coming out from. So that's the sort of the vision. That's I think how they want to be, but let's see. I cannot see if anybody has left comments. I can't see them, I'm afraid. It's the whole sideways thing, and also I think slow connection, so nothing's showing up on my screen. So you could all just be sitting there just, you know, listening to me witter, which is what it's about, I suppose. But don't please think that I am rude or ignoring you if I don't mention or read or get to your comments. I always read them afterwards, and it's always good fun to see to see what people have said. So anyway, it's lovely for you to join me. Lovely of you, I should say. It's lovely for me, and it's lovely of you to join me. It's very much appreciated. Do you know, I am having so much fun with this new style of bunny as well. They're smaller and they don't have the cheeks that the other bunnies have, but it means that there's more sculpting in the face, and, you know, making their little noses, which is, there's something very characterful about them, I think. So I know I've made a few bunnies, I think, now on the Brew and Blether, but you can never have too many bunnies, really. So I think the same thing goes for all the wee creatures. And I realise I sound as though I've got a little frog in my throat, I think. I think it's just because I've not spoken to anybody today. So it's a bit, and yes, I have an apology to make for anybody who gets my newsletter. And I want to say a big thank you to Ange if she's on the video or hears this at any point. I'm afraid I confused matters as far as the date of the next shop event goes. It is definitely this Thursday at 8 o'clock, Thursday the 29th. I said in my newsletter that it was Thursday the 31st, and also said it was Thursday the 29th. So it is definitely Thursday. I'm really sorry. I will send out, I think, a small note just to go, oops, my bad. I'm really sorry. Do you know, I think that's about one of my worst, it's my well, it's not really a worst fear, goodness me. This is hashtag first world problem for sure. But, you know, when I'm sending out these newsletters, it's just me who's doing them, and it's so easy. You know, I would really like somebody to sort of proofread it and make sure that I can, you know, any silly mistakes like that one are caught. Yeah, so bit embarrassing, really sorry. So, okay, little bunny is coming on. Let's make sure he's got, now, he's not going to be quite tall enough. Oh, sorry, I don't know whether you can see that. He's not going to be quite tall enough to hold on to that. I wonder whether I should no, I'll just stretch him out a little bit more. He's going to be on his tippy toes as well. Ideally, more of him once. Well, okay, no, he doesn't need to be holding on to this, but he can be sort of straining and putting his ears up to the microphone anyway. Because that's the thing, he's got to be able to still stand and be stable enough that that he's going to. Do you know, it's the, what's the word? The engineering of the wee creatures that I absolutely adore as well. And just before I mark his haunches in, I'm going to give him a tummy as well. So yes, it's sort of figuring out how to make them stand up, but stand up in such a way that they look naturally standing up, if you know what I mean. I love that challenge. Oh, sorry about that. I'm just clattering my roller on my glass tabletop, which is getting a bit scarred now. I've had this pretty much from the beginning, so it's 15 years old now. Goodness me. Right, just going to run this through the past machine. Right, so the other exciting thing that's been happening this week has been getting ready for the Autumn Trees pre-order. And you know, it's only been over the weekend when things started to fall into place. This is me gently pulling out the clay, by the way, just to sort of thin it down a little bit. But you can't do it too thinly because then it'll tear. Oh, you know, again, hashtag first world problems. So just cutting out a little circle, and because I'll be doing the other one as well, cut that too at the same time. There we go. Yeah, so the autumn trees, which are just beautiful. I mean, Rachel's trees are just phenomenal. I absolutely love them. And I've had so much fun making the wee creatures who all have a brown theme because it's autumn and, you know, leaves are brown and that's the way it is. So, but, you know, for a long time I couldn't figure out how to make the tiny brushes. So, you know, I tried lots of things. I actually have got like scrubbing brushes, real scrubbing brushes that I bought to trim off the bristles and try and put them into clay and do all that sort of stuff. No, that did not work. That was a faff, a super faff, and a bit, no. So actually, back to my favourite medium, of course, is just clay. So I ended up extruding in fact, let me just quickly show you where I had a few of them kicking around somewhere, and I have now just missed, there we go. So these are the tiny brushes. So if you see, the bristles are actually made with extruded clay, and then I, you know, cut 12 of them and stick them onto a broom head, and then I've got the pole, which is a cocktail stick. And anyway, I'm really happy with them. They've turned out so well, and they're very quernus. I think that's the most important thing. They're very, very quernus. Because if I was using real bristles, that's just not quernus. Quernus is not realistic, but you know that this, like for example, you'll know that this is going to be a bunny. I know that that's a brush, but if it's too realistic, no. So I know this one is quite realistic, but it's also quite stylized, and I just love the idea of you know, the wee creatures just having fun and doing their own thing, and we get to watch them and see what they're up to. Right, now just marking the haunches. That's his tummy in place. So this defines the feet, the legs and the haunches is exactly what I said before, in fact, I think. And flob alert. Right. And then he has a little bit of a bum cleft. And there will be a fluffy bobtail at the other end of that in due course. But for now, just making sure I think that's a little bit of a flob mark that I just need to wipe off. So, autumn trees. So much fun making the tiny brushes, and I'm really happy with the brushes, how they've turned out. They are still fiddly to make, but just so worth it. Just so worth it. So I'm going to, anybody who wants to order them, the pre-order starts on the 1st, which is Sunday, but as I did the last time, I will make sure that those in the Quernaholics Anonymous group get first dibs. Excuse me. Get first dibs on ordering them, probably on the Friday night. So if you want to pre-order one, you'll be able to order them through Rachel, and then she'll make them, and then she'll send them to me, and I will make a wee creature for you. Excuse me. As I say, not spoken to anybody today, so it does. It's really interesting, because now all of a sudden I'm kind of speaking to you guys, which is wonderful. And equally, I have no idea. I can't see if there's any comments. They're not showing up on my computer just now. I do apologise. But I know that you're there. I can see your little icons. I recognise your icons. It's so sweet. So when I say, favicon, whatever it's called, you know, the little profile badge, I suppose is what it's called. I recognise all of you, and that's just, so yes, so I can see that you're there even if I can't actually read anything. If you are indeed, maybe you're not reading it, maybe you're not putting anything down. I'm just flattering myself to think that you are. Anyway, long story short, okay, there's a little bit of flob management here. But I've now put his bobtail. This is actually a really good tip if ever you're putting fluffy bobtails onto creatures, because if you just stick them on the outside of the clay as it is, then it just looks like a stuck-on bobtail. But because it's pushed in, it's only half of it shows when I finally put it in place. So it's another way of kind of creating a queerness realism. It's not realistic, but it's queerness realistic, if you know what I mean. Anyway, that's the first one. And I think I will move on a little more with him before I get on to the next one. Just going to roll out the clay to cut out his ears and his paws. So this is just the thickest set. In fact, I'm going to make it slightly thicker. That the thickest setting is fine for paws and the like, but for ears, I like having them a little bigger. So what I do is then I roll out the clay on setting number 3, cut it in half, and that actually makes it slightly thicker than the thickest setting, but not too thick. Dear me, there really is some OCD in me, I think, for sure. And because just even the act of pushing the cutter through double thickness of clay joins the clay together, it's magic stuff. It really is. I mean, this is Fimo Soft, which I'm using, and actually normally it's too soft, but this taupe, which I've been using, is just about right, particularly when it's not too hot. Going back to the thickest setting, and actually I don't know whether you'll be able to see that, it's very subtle, the difference between the two, and maybe it's all in my head. That's entirely possible. Anyway, right, so hindpaws, and actually I'll give him, this is me cutting out of, this is mouse ear size of cutter, but also good for paws of larger creatures than mice. I don't know that I could ever teach or show anybody what I do and how it all works out. I have such peculiar ways of doing things now. They're just so idiosyncratic because that's, I started doing them this way and I've just kind of kept on doing them this way or that way or whatever. So, and I'm sure they're not the most efficient way, but I've kind of just got into the habit of doing them. Anyway, I am finding this when I'm doing the work for NOEMF, which is the Northwest Early Music Forum, because I'm thinking, well, we should do it this way and we should do it this way. And then all of a sudden I have people to think about and to explain what I'm doing or to take them into account or whatever. So that's all quite interesting. That's a new skill or a relearned skill that I've got to learn again, the joys of working with people. And it's exactly what I need as well, I will say that. And they are lovely people for the most part, they are lovely people. Right, I have prepared the inner ears for the other bunny as well. Right, so these are the inner ears for this little bunny, and again I've got to kind of stretch it out a little bit, not only to thin it down but also to make sure it's in the right shape. And it's not, this is so delicate. I mean, I'm hardly applying any pressure, because I'm not going to show you about what would happen if I put too much. It would just weak apart. Right, so that's one inner ear done, and then do the same here. So it starts out with that's my the packet pens, is that what they're called anyway? Pack pens, that's it. Fabulous mini cutters, they really are. So this is like, don't breathe while I get this done. And there we go, inner ear of bunny number 2. Excellent. Right, so my thinking is now whether these feet are going to be enough to keep the bunny standing upright. Ideally, I want him standing on his tiptoes. They might actually be too big. This is it. It's wonderful that it's all trial and error. I'm not going to worry about his feet just now, because it might be that he just has to sit back on his haunches, and then his bobtail will act as his prop to hold him back, because he's going to be like bending over backwards a little bit as he's sort of trying to hear what's going on. I can push this down a little bit, not too far, because then this won't be able to work and he wouldn't be able to hear it, and that wouldn't work. Oh dear. Yeah, I can take the realism things a little bit too far. Right, I'm actually going to trim these down the neck size, and this size of cutter is for the tiny 3 gram, 2 and 3 gram. Actually, I'm working on mice just now, which I'm making with 1.5 grams of clay. They are just a bit ridiculously small, but they're so cute. Do you remember the little painted wooden mushrooms that, or toadstools that Tabitha of Awesome Wooden Crafts? I mean, she's done so many awesome wooden gifts. Sorry, she's done so many for me over the years, and I keep finding them, ones which I haven't used before. And I came across some the other day, so I'm just making some even smaller mice, and normally I've had them sitting just perched on top of the mushroom, sort of holding a heart or something. Well, now they're playing around with the mushrooms. So I was thinking about this as well, that it's not that I have to keep reinventing the creatures, but I really don't particularly like doing the same thing too often. I know I've made thousands of bunnies, for example, but I've not made thousands of bunnies listening to a gramophone, for example. Or, you know, so when I'm doing these, the toadstools, I kind of want to do, I just want them to do different things. You know, I don't want necessarily for them just to be churned out the same. So it's always fun to see what else, what they can do and what they enjoy playing with. Right. This is me shaping the nose now. I really, really like these bunnies because they are much more sculptural, I suppose, than just putting a couple of chops on them. Chops are cute as well, don't get me wrong, but there's something very, very nice about being able to sort out the nose. And then this is, don't worry, doesn't hurt them, but I've just got to get the nose flap sorted. And I'm doing this at a slight distance because normally I'm peering like, so it's like an inch away from my nose. There we go. And I'm trying to just lift up the flap just ever so slightly as well, because I'm going to put some inner nose beige in there, and then it folds, it flops over the top, because that's flops over the top. I'm not sure what that means either, sorry. It folds over, you know, like bunnies' noses. Oh, they're just so cute. They are so cute. But yeah, so it's sort of trying to bring it out enough that it can then fold over the top, if that makes sense. So I don't know whether, I mean, it looks a bit weird now. It does look weird, I know. But that's just to make sure that I can put his inner nose in, because all bunnies have got pink noses, you see, underneath the little flap of quivery little cute little noses that they have. So this is quite similar to the way that I do the guinea pig's noses, but guinea pig noses are not hidden by a little cute quivering little flap of bunny nose goodness. Gosh, I should probably speak to some people before I'm allowed loose on these chats. Sometimes I do wonder how much sense I'm making. And this is the first time for a long time that I've actually not seen any comments at all. So I really hope that you're not all stomping off and going, what on earth is she on about? Because you could well be, and I wouldn't blame you. So this is just bringing the nose flap down. So you can't actually see the pink, but I know it's there. And it also lets me just gradually, slightly make it a little bit more prominent. And what I sometimes do is just bring the nose out a little bit from, or up a little bit, you know. At the moment it's kind of going down, slight up. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but anyway. And I haven't put the nose, the eyes in yet, because there's like lots of fiddling around with the nose. But once I've done that, then I can get the eye box. We have the eye box. It's coming, it's coming. And here we go. Right. I recently got I found a new supplier. It's actually based in Huddersfield, next village along, or next town along from me. A gem shop where I've bought, you know, some of the gemstones I've had, including the selenite towers. I got them from there, and they also run a bead store, or jewellery store, I should say, as well as the gem shop. So they actually went and they found beads that are exactly, well, between 2.5 millimeters and 2.7 millimeters in diameter, and I think they are slightly on the smaller side, which works perfectly for me because the wee creatures are now slightly on the smaller side these days. I don't know whether you've noticed that. So that's getting, there we go. That I like the size of them, and they're actually much more uniform than the ones that I have bought previously, which was just on eBay. Although I did find a supplier. They sold on eBay, but they managed to source beads that were between 2.5 and 2.7 mils. It's, yeah. At the moment, my little 1.5 gram clay mice. Actually, I'm gonna show you one quickly because it's just too cute. This is what I mean about them doing slightly different things. So he's having lots of fun on the back of a toadstool, as you do. So that's 1.5 grams of clay. That's what that looks like as a mouse. I'm going to have to trim this from the video when I put it on YouTube. They're just going to be like, what? What was that? What was that? Anyway, right. So, weird looking bunny. Definitely a bit weird looking. But again, this is where the magic happens. There's just something amazing. I can't explain it. I don't know how it works, but it does. And I'm not complaining at all. But all of a sudden, there's a little bunny. Which is just like, how did I don't know. It's magic. And I'm also trying to make the mouth a little bit. Now this is where, because he's peering up. He's going to be peering up into, you know, to look into the bell. What? I'm sure there's a word for it. Please help me out here. I'm sure I'm not getting the word right, but if anybody knows what it's called, the thing which the dog listens in, you know what I mean when I say that. Right, now going to use a very thin, a very small sewing needle, basically. And that's to give him a bit of a smile. Because it comes round at the side. And that's not, I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of extra work on that. So you kind of pull it apart and bring it back together again, if that makes sense. I'll just form his lower lip there. It'll make sense. There's work to be done there, because I kind of want to have him sort of, ooh, what's going on? I want to listen to this. Maybe just give him more of a smile. Yes, because I was doing very much this. Oh, and just give his cheeks a little bit of a upwards fluff. Anyway, right. Blah. Yes, that's what I was doing with the mouse, because he was smiling and having fun as he was lying on the back of a toadstool, as you do. I think I've made a mouse that's 1 gram before, but 1.5, it's amazing what a difference half a gram can actually make. Right. Now he needs to have his ears, of course, upright and listening. So that's on the end of my finger, keeping it in place. My clay shaper, I just love this. You can see the actual coating melts off with the polymer clay. That's why I've always got masking tape around it. But I keep adding to it because it makes such a mess. In case you ever wondered, it's a bit, but I could, I suppose, technically sit and scrape off all the little bits of clay that have adhered to it over the years. But who has time to do that? Really? Life is just a bit too short. So, and actually it gives it quite a good grip if I keep just adding lots more masking tape. Ooh. I'm not that OCD, clearly. Not about some things anyway. Right. So that, because when I'm making larger bunny ears, I actually have a little tool that I created, which presses out the inside of it. I don't know whether you remember seeing it, and I don't know that I can be bothered getting it out. I think I have distracted myself a bit too much in this so far tonight, and I'm not even sure I'll get onto the second bunny, so I will have to do him in the morning, but I can keep going and hopefully finish off this bunny, and then he can be listening to the music overnight while the other bunny gets the album out, the Pet Shop Boys. Do you know, I've had these little miniature albums for years, bought them, and periodically I've given them to wee creatures to hold. But I was going through it because I think I did get a good stash of 80s hits, because that's obviously my kind of vintage. But I'm sure I've got some from the 70s as well, like ABBA and whatnot. Anyway, so yeah, one of these days I will go through them and hand them out to wee creatures and see what they say. Until then, though, they come in handy when I was looking for a pet or an animal-related album. There you go, I have the Pet Shop Boys. Right, not that I believe in bunnies in pet shops or anything. Right, so nicking off the end of the bunny ear, little bit of my extender medium, which is fabulous stuff, as I always say. And this really does help strengthen when putting ears, paws, or anything on them. It works. I don't know how, but it does. Right, so this bunny is going to be, let's see, am I going to have him sideways on? Am I going to have him up there? I think I want to have him trying to see where the sound is coming from, which probably means that his ears need to be kind of up and alert and forward. I do research, and I found out about bunny ear positions. This is great. You see, do you know, I love what I do, because, you know, it's kind of like, ooh, here's my R&D moment, and I'm going to find out about what position bunny ears are. And I get to do that. It's just, oh, yeah. It's fabulous. And then I get to tell you all about it, and you can just laugh at me. But it's just fabulous to be able to do that, or to have the opportunity to do that. I'm not sure I found the best website, so if anybody has a better source of or research tool for bunny ear positions, I would be most grateful. I would love to hear. Now it's starting to get a bit warm in here, so even just the heat of my hands is starting to deform the clay a little bit, and I see flob. I'm going to have to do some flob management in just a second. But first of all, this is me blending the clay to ears to body. One of the most vulnerable parts, of course, Remarkably strong, all things considered. I mean, they don't have yeah, they're stronger than they perhaps have any right to look in the circumstances. But I certainly do my very best to make them as strong as possible. Right. So as well as putting it on the join itself, I am now putting it around the seam of the ears as well. And then we'll blend that in. Because it does dry, well, it bakes, you can see the difference, it bakes opaquely. So it's better if you don't have any loose stuff hanging around. And let's make sure that he's tentatively and interestingly listening. Oh, you see that flob's getting to me. And they kind of come from behind and up as well. Actually, it's not so much flob as more of a shadow, I think. Let's just get that. Right. And again, I'm doing my very best to make sure that his cheeks are not pushed in. Although it can sometimes help with the height. But I don't, this is the thing, you don't want really long, thin bunnies. I like bunnies which are quite chubby. Just very cute. Right. So there we go. So he's very, very interested in what's going on in the gramophone. And I'm kind of relying on somebody to have come up with the right name for me. Right. Yeah, I think I could probably have his tail acting as a bit of a tripod. It's not quite as easy to do them as the mice tails are obviously very good for that. So they need to be kind of a little bit more further back so that he's actually standing upright. God, the amount of flob. The amount of flob. Right, okay. Now, is it going to be that size? Or is it going to be that size? Let's do the slightly bigger ones. Oh, and this is where actually it will be handy to sign it now, because it's going to be on the bottom of the foot. Okay, this is the last bit of this bit of a cane. I have more, but I do not like waste, and I do like to make sure, and this is where I do actually have to peer over it and get the amount cut. But I do like to make sure that none of it goes to waste. I have made 2 of these signature canes over the course of 15 years, and I have still quite a lot left. So well, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to make another one. I don't know, but at the moment I've got plenty left. Right. So this is just getting. Now the foot can go back a little bit more. This is to try and give him enough, get his centre of gravity over the bulk of his, over his body weight, if you know what I mean. There we go. And yeah, I'm going to move his bobtail down a little bit. Because what I will do, now he's standing upright himself just now because he's sticky. He has sticky feet. Once he's baked, he will not have sticky feet. So I will just make sure. This is my bag of bobtails. I have a bag of every body part imaginable. Well, not really, but I just want to just to show you how it's going to be. I may need to use a slightly bigger one. The idea will be to have the bobtail in such a position that he can kind of rest on his haunches, and he can sort of lean back against the bobtail. So I think that will work, but I may need to get a bigger bobtail. I have bigger bobtails. I have a range of different different sizes of bobtails, and again I've got to make sure that it's not unduly large. Oh, and these are all self-imposed rules that I put on myself. Yeah, you see that's going to be a little bit too big, I think, because you don't want him to look as though he's wearing a nappy. I'll need to give some thought to how I'm going to do that. Decisions. I mean, it might be that I have him held on by the other bunny, or this is what I so enjoy it when I can, the ideas present themselves as I'm going along, you know. So in fact, he is almost big enough now. I may need to use or get slightly more clay for his arms. The idea with the arms, it may work with him peering up and into this bit. Do you know, when I'm ready to do the fast forward thing, I think I shall have to have the name of whatever that is and insert it every single time I'm saying it. There are no, I can't see anybody who is, I can't see anybody's comments, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, right. Because if I have him leaning up and holding onto that, whatever that is, that's not going to provide as a strong enough join to make it stable. But if he's held onto by the other bunny, then that could work. So I'm just going to, I'm looking at the time as well, it's 9:15, goodness me. If I can at least finish off his paws, because they're going to be inside the bowl, I'm going to just mark them now with his little claws, but they're fingers really. There we go. Right. I am just, this is just going out in the group, isn't it? This is not me doing another one where I have accidentally posted it to the world. Hopefully not. That's the trouble. You never really know. Look at that. Look. I'm sorry, but how cute. How cute is that? And he's just reaching up and he wants to give you a hug, basically. But the idea will be that he will be holding on. There we go. That works. It will work. There we go. Right. Okay. I'm not sure how much you can see of that from that angle, but he's just having, right. That's, oh, excellent. Oh, I love it when this happens. Right, so because he's sticking to the glass, and as I'm pulling him away from the bowl, but he's sticking to that, whatever that is, he's actually going up on his tiptoes. So that actually works very well. So I won't need the giant nappy pom-pom, but I will put a little one on, which, yeah, that'll be fine. So perfect. Right, I think that's a good place to stop him for now. I shall carry on, maybe not tonight because I'll need to go home and have my tea. But thank you so much for joining me. I don't know how many of you were there. I don't know who. Well, I know some of you. Christy was there, and Alison, and Anna's as well, and Nick too. So I hope everything has worked out okay. Thank you so much for being there. Thanks for putting up with my blethers. And I shall post a picture of these wee chaps once they're finished tomorrow. But have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you're doing. And thank you so much, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.